It's been a week now, hasn't it, since President Cyril Ramaphosa announced a new energy plan, and now Eskom says it needs to hike tariffs in order to fund it. Energy analyst Clyde Mallinson joining us this morning. Hello, Clyde. Good to have you back on eNCA. And of course, the public has to fund this. Where else were we going to get the money to do it?
Good morning, Gareth. I don't think we should conflate Eskom wanting to increase tariffs for the sake of funding this energy program. Eskom have been wanting to increase tariffs forever. Every time they have gone to NERSA and asked for tariff increases, they've normally been given increases that are below what they've asked for. And I've presented at many of the Eskom NERSA tariff hearings, and basically, until we sort out our energy system, I like to say that we either have higher tariffs or there's got to be a bigger treasury bailout to Eskom. And so I don't think that the current situation we're in is anything new with regard to tariff increase requests.
And so essentially, because you're not the only one to be saying this, Eskom can get as many tariff increases as they want, but until they can actually put the money to good use and actually get on top of the problem, we're still going to have blackouts. We're still going to have aging infrastructure, isn't it?
Now, look, I think once again the question of the crisis that we're in with regard to blackouts and the long-term view of what we should be looking at the energy industry need to be separated as well. So I'm a person who believes that we're stuck at the moment between an old method of creating electricity and a whole new paradigm. And while we're in this state, we're almost having to keep the old running while we're getting the new ready. And so there's kind of an expensive transitionary phase while we're keeping both systems going. And what we really need to do is focus most of our attention on the new and put enough money into the old to at least keep it operating at the level that it's currently operating. But to over-capitalize now on the old, I believe, is a mistake.
So broadly, when we look at the president's interventions that came out, there were quite a number of interventions that were proposed. Two of them have gotten a lot of people talking. Tell me what you think of either of these, Clyde. Allowing Eskom to buy excess power from private producers, IPP, so buy it back from them essentially. And the other is importing more power from countries around us into South Africa. Do either of those give us a quick fix, or at least a quick plaster for our energy problems in this country?
Yeah, those basically are both to do with the current emergency we've allowed to get ourselves into. So if you like, we're stuck on the road without petrol and we have to go and walk to flag down a car and take a container to a nearby petrol station, and also buying from our neighbors. The scale we can do it is a bit like borrowing a cup of sugar on the weekend when the stores are closed. So those are short-term things that can assist, but we really need to be looking aggressively at what we're doing in the medium to long term. And the nice thing is we can do things in the short term that will also translate into the medium and long term.
Give me an example.
Well, an example would be to create funding systems whereby ordinary citizens, you and I, could invest in a solar plant, for example, that would supply electricity to Johannesburg. And because we know electricity is a scarce commodity these days and the price is going up, which we know because Eskom are asking for higher prices, by creating vehicles where you and I could invest in that solar plant, we will get a good return on that investment, and we'll be helping to eliminate load shedding. That's just a quick example. Likewise, if you or I could put solar on our roofs and do more than we actually required and sell that solar back into the grid to City Power, in the case of me in Johannesburg, that would also be a quick fix. So those two things, creating avenues whereby ordinary people can take ownership of their own electricity supply, and in many cases invest in it in a way that they could actually earn dividends. Wouldn't that be great?
No, wouldn't that be great? It would be a really clever idea, wouldn't it? Clyde, just before I say goodbye to you for now, you mentioned earlier that you've done presentations to NERSA and to Eskom when they have these discussions. Just let's go back to numbers quickly before I say goodbye to you. So Eskom applying for a 20.5% increase in tariffs for 2022. That's a big jump. I'm seeing here that NERSA only granting a 9.61% hike. 9.61% hike. I need more coffee, apparently. Help me understand, if Eskom did get their 20.5% increase and we all just had to swallow the bitter pill, could we get rid of blackouts if we gave Eskom what they actually were demanding?
Well, I think we've got ourselves into a situation now where we've skipped 4 or 5 years what we should have done. So if we had $1 billion and we threw it at Eskom tomorrow, we would still have a timeline before we could eliminate load shedding. So there's a literally a logistics timeline now, and I think it's realistic to imagine that we can put a huge curb on load shedding within 24 months, but we can't eliminate it immediately with all the money in the world, basically.
No, that's not good news, but at least there might be light at the end of the tunnel if we can get all the cables and all the power stations up and running. Clyde, it's always good to talk to you. Appreciate your time speaking to us, helping me understand exactly what the problem is, and hopefully you as well. Energy analyst Clyde Mallinson joining us here on eNCA.